Thank you, everyone, for joining. I will call this meeting to order. This meeting has been advertised in accordance with the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act and is publicly accessible in accordance with law. Roll call, please.
Sure. Kevin?
Here.
Rocco? David Cittadino? Dr. George?
Here.
Mayor Henry? Sarah?
Here.
Maria?
Here.
Rosemary? Here. Esty? Here. Zainab? Zainab? She's here.
I'm here.
He's here. Okay.
And
I'm
Frank,
here.
and Frank Weber.
Thank you. Okay. All right. Stand to the flag, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, Okay, so we do have one item to discuss in executive session. It is a matter of personnel. So we are going to go into executive session. We should not be there long. So I will ask the director to put the members of the public back into the waiting room, and then we'll pull you back into the meeting as soon as we resume the regular session. Thank you. And they're all in? Great, thank you. Thank you, everyone, for your patience. We are ready to go on with the regular portion of the meeting. So we will go to the minutes. Approval of the regular meeting minutes of July 19th.
I will make the motion.
Thank you. A second?
I will second.
Any discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Dr. George?
Yes.
Sarah?
Yes.
Maria?
I abstain.
Rosemary? Yes. Esty? Yes. Zainab?
Yes.
Frank Weber?
Yes,
And Kevin?
Yes. Thank you. Okay. Approval of the July 19th executive session minutes. Do I have a motion?
I'll make it.
Okay.
I'll
either one.
second it.
Thank you. Any discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Sarah?
Yes.
Rosemary? Yes. Maria?
I abstain.
Esty? Yes. Zainab?
Yes.
Frank Weber?
yes,
Dr. George?
Yes.
And Kevin?
Yes. Okay, moving on to personnel. Accept the resignation of library page Isabel Vu effective August 12th, 2023. I have a motion.
Make the motion.
Thanks. And we got Sarah for a second. Okay,
Is this?
any discussion?
Yeah, so our pages are our students that are gonna be leaving, and we'll be hiring new, and we're always sad to see them leave. We thank them for their service, but we're also very excited for what the future holds for them.
So there's only one college student?
One
going,
right
or-
now,
Oh,
yes,
okay.
yeah,
So it's gonna be surprise, August 28th, I'm gone.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
hopefully not.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Any other discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Sure. Maria?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
Rosemary? Yes. Esty?
Yes.
Zainab?
Yes.
Frank Weber?
yes,
Dr. George?
Yes.
Sarah?
Yes.
And Kevin?
Yes. Thank you. Okay, approve the appointment of custodian / cleaner Garrett Bodnar at the hourly rate of $20.91 pending driver's abstract. Do I have a motion?
I'll motion.
Thank you, Sarah.
I'll
Second, thank you. Any discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Rosemary?
Yes.
Esty?
Yes.
Zainab?
Yes.
Frank Weber?
yes,
Dr. George?
Yes.
Sarah?
Yes.
Maria?
Yes.
And Kevin?
Yes, thank you. Okay, finance, action on the August 9th bill list in the amount of $171,028.60. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you. Second,
I'll second.
Maria? Were you
Oh,
ready?
yes, Kevin.
Yeah.
I reviewed the bill listing. Everything was in order.
Thank you very much. Okay, so any other discussion on that then?
I would like to add one item on regarding the bill list. Currently, we are paying the water still for Lawrence Harbor. And we're paying that on the old building. So until that is capped, we're billed what they call a minimum, not an actual usage. And hopefully Irene is looking into that and that's gonna get done. So we should see some money back there.
Okay.
Oh, they'll do an actual reading at some point.
I mean, there's been no water usage and we haven't been there, but it's not being capped. But it's a bill that we normally pay, but Irene is on it with knowing that there's 2 locations.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. So, any other discussion? Is that at all? Thank you. So the roll call?
Sure. Esty,
Yes.
Zainab,
Yes.
Frank Weber,
yes,
Dr. George,
No.
Sarah,
Yes.
Maria,
Yes.
Rosemary,
Yes.
and Kevin.
Yes, thank you. Okay, moving on to old business. Now, we have Lawrence Harbor down here, but I think at the last meeting, we said that you were going to give us, I think, quarterly updates or something on Lawrence Harbor, unless you have something now.
No, the next step at Lawrence Harbor rests with the personnel committee at this point to review the suggestions that have been made with staffing. I think that your suggestion was really valuable for me in that instead of me trying to figure everything out, getting the person and letting a full-time person really embrace that role. And then I've expanded that with some other recommendations, but that would be for a personnel committee.
are we?
So then I'll ask that this item from the agenda going forward be removed, and you can include Lawrence Harbor, I guess, updates within your director's report.
Sounds good.
Does anyone have any other old business they'd like to discuss or questions on Lawrence Harbor, I guess? No? Okay.
Nope.
Moving right along. Anything for new business? No? Okay, we should put meetings like 3 weeks apart because then it seems to go quickly. Everything is done. All right. So let's move on to the director's report then.
Okay, are there any questions about the written director's report that was sent out? Plenty to add. So Saltwater Day is this Saturday. The library is going to be there from 2 to 6. And I'm excited. Not only is the community excited about Lawrence Harbor, the staff are. So we're gonna go we're gonna be doing some things there that we haven't done in a while. And I understand that we've not been proven on the return on investment there. So we're gonna be watching that very carefully. But we have an adult craft, we have a kids craft, we're gonna have some free materials to give away. We're going to have the survey out to hopefully get some more feedback about hours. I'm gonna be there, and staff were really excited to be there.
So, go ahead, I'm sorry.
How many people are going to be there?
So I'm gonna be there, Lauren Barone, our head of adult services, and then Virginia, whose last name is LaMonica, who is in Passports, and she also works at Lawrence Harbor.
Okay.
So the 3 of us are gonna be there for the whole time. We're gonna set up at Lawrence Harbor so that we're there early enough. And I also want to thank Parks and Recreation because they're letting us do a portion of it so that we're not there until 10 o'clock at night. And well, they normally don't let people.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
It's like the road show,
Yeah.
so which can be.
But the same thing with the old age
Everybody
day.
gets
Well,
to
because
start.
because it's difficult when you let all the vendors in. If vendors want to start leaving, there's
Yeah, they
people
have to-
walking,
no,
there's
I
all
know,
this
I
stuff
know.
going on.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah.
so they've made an exception for us and been very considerate. So hopefully that's also, we're moderating that investment so that we're not going completely overboard with anything. But I'm really excited about that. And we'll see what kind of feedback we get and getting a different note with getting different people out there with what we can do. So we are going to be in the branch. We're going to have people there so that they can park. They can do work from the branch while they're there. We're not opening it to the public. I don't mean to be completely mundane, but that's not a commercial facility, shall we say, with regard to relief stations. It's personal, like what would be found in someone's home. So it's really not going to be open to everyone.
Well, it wouldn't normally be open on Saturday anyway. at this point, right?
Correct.
Right. And what about the parking lot though? Is that going to be blocked off or will we allow people to park there? I mean, parking is very tough to open that saltwater dam.
And the other part of this is that our signage is still not entirely finished. Amboy Bank went in and made some changes. I sent it to Kevin. I didn't send it out to everyone. So we had a draft. It didn't need to be a decision because I know our old bridge portion of the sign for Lawrence Harbor was overshadowed by the size of the Amboy Bank portion of the sign. So I wanted that fixed. And so people are doing, Amboy Bank didn't do it. The signage company did. So I'm just getting that adjusted. And then until we have signage that says parking for Old Bridge Library, I'm not gonna make too much of an issue of it, but our staff will be there early so that we'll have some parking spots and we can get out of there.
Great.
Okay, so that is Saltwater Day. We unfortunately today did not pass our fire inspection. We did have the alarm system tested in April, so that part was done. Public Works is answering for us with regard to inspection of the generator. But the town has arranged that as it's a generator is the generators from Old Bridge. So they're going to work with Parks and Rec to get that inspection done. What we haven't done is had a fire drill for a really long time. People are saying pre-COVID. So what we're gonna be doing as part of this whole intranet or going back through, as an example, Maria, you may recall the binders that staff used to get and all of the things that were included in those binders.
Yes.
So we're going to be going back to that, just a little more information. So an emergency plan, that kind of thing is going to be in there. So I'm going to work with the fire department to get that done and get our fire drills done. So the building is safe, the sprinkler inspection was done, the alarm inspection was done. We just need to get on our fire drills, that's
So
all.
that's why we failed, was for the fire drills, or it
Correct.
has to do with the generator?
The generator, but they're gonna get the generator part.
Okay.
So Linda, can you explain how that works?
With the generator, it's the township's generator. They
Yeah.
got a grant for the generator,
Mhm.
so they maintain the generator.
Mhm.
Okay.
So the fire marshal has this,
So there's a
Do you have a
part of
case?
it, it's not working, is that?
It is working.
it's an inspection.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
It's an inspection to
part of
make
it.
sure that it is getting annual maintenance.
Oh, okay,
Yep.
sorry.
Like
And the generator is really in response to, I think, Frank, you probably know better than me on this, is response to Superstorm Sandy, right? Because they wanted to use, FEMA thing to be able to use this for a facility in case of another.
Correct.
incident like that. Yeah.
And that was a trend with a lot of libraries. I was in Orange during Sandy and we had employees coming to stay at the library because people didn't have heat for days. So being a communication and a heating and cooling center really just became evident to everyone at that time that we should be doing that.
And we were a cooling center just a couple of weeks ago. Did we see a lot of extra foot traffic during those periods of time?
I feel like we did. We were also, there were some people who were in here who were kind of dozing, which isn't
Oh, I was gonna ask.
permitted in the library. But in the heat like that, I'm not going to, I'm not gonna go around and disturb people. I also, on National Night Out, I came in and I met the person here from the Office of Emergency Management, and I'll be connecting with that office in the next month to make sure that we're on the same page. Like if they're sending out an announcement that we're a cooling center,
That we're
let's
aware.
make sure that our air conditioning is working, because you had some really big libraries in the area who've been shut down in the last month because of air conditioning systems just failing left and right. Plainfield was one, Westfield was one. So Tom's River, that was another. Yeah.
My house was one too.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
That's horrible.
You should have came here.
Do you get
I
the
did
code red
actually.
alerts?
I just signed up for that today.
Okay, yeah.
Yep. Yep, so, and coordinating with emergency management, one of the things that we want to make sure is that we have a charging center large enough to accommodate an emergency like that. So one of the biggest things, you know, when we have no power, when everything's knocked out, and it's an issue, is everybody's coming into charge, to email, to contact relatives outside of the area, to give kids something else to do besides be upset, depressed, lights out, no, you know, things like that. So, yeah, we'll be working with them. So, related to that, with us going in to take a look at those emergency plans, we've always had all of the policies and all the guidance that staff needed. It's just not been featured to them prominently for a while. So we have a lot of staff who've never seen these things that I think Maria can attest to that were done in the past. So we're getting back to that, just starting to look at the policy cleanup, creating a little bit of an intranet so that all staff have online access to all of our information and documents. With internal communication, if you leave a void, someone's going to fill it. So we want to make sure that we're being proactive with all of that. I sent out an email. Does everyone know our mission statement? That we have a mission statement, and it's a really good one. So I'm gonna be going back in and pulling those documents out and just making sure that they get featured again.
Okay.
Right. One thing also with Adam Pover coming in, he's arriving on August 16th. He is our new manager of information technology. So this means that our library assistant, who has been stepping up to fill that role, is going to be returning back to her role, and the memo has been sent about compensation in that. One of the programs that we will want to make a decision about, so there's usually two big programs that libraries will host. One is literacy and one is ESL. And I'm sorry, there's another one, which is citizenship courses. So those are things that we've done in the past. So the only one of those that's really active here is our ESL program, and it's expanding. So the library has a choice of the library really taking on that charge or making that program a staple for the Friends of the Library. Because that's where they have a much better chance of getting grant funding and things like that if it's kind of managed through the Friends group. So we're going to see the Friends reorganizational meeting is on August 17th. We've had a lot of interest.
Oh, great.
So we'll see what's going to happen there. But the ESL program is very popular.
We've always gotten a lot of great feedback regarding the ESL program. I know people come from Edison and other towns in Middlesex just for our ESL program. Some people tend to prefer it over some of the other libraries in here. It's good.
And I just want to say that our volunteers, because it's entirely staffed by volunteers, our staff are helping them coordinate, but they're just doing such an amazing job. We just set up a Google Drive for them so that they'll have online access to their registrations. So we're trying to streamline some of the administrative duties and functions there, that without taking them all on ourselves. And they're diversifying within the ESL group. So they're making sure it's not one person doing everything, but they're sharing those duties. So it continues even if one person drops out.
That's excellent. Yeah.
The facility survey I sent out because we had discussed this to all of the directors in LMXAC. I just want to stress what a resource they are for us whenever we have a question, or we just want to know what's going on in the region. I asked them who had a facilities agreement with their town. Does anybody have shared services agreements formalizing the arrangements for snow plowing and things like that with the towns? So I'm getting all of that data and I'll have it for next month. And that's the emergency plan. One thing I'm not sure who to talk to, our meeting rooms and having them exclusively for people in Old Bridge. I was asked to make an exception this week for someone who works for the Department of Defense. I got another call today asking for a person who works for HUD, who's going to be in the area wanting to use those offices. So can I make exceptions to those policies?
Ordinarily, you have the discretion to do that. I don't have the policy with me tonight, obviously, but
And I would think it's
as director, if it's, yeah, exactly. It's
Okay.
priority. You don't bump a pre-planned, pre-reserved community event or
No.
patron usage.
Yeah.
But if it's an available room, you do have the discretion to do that.
Okay. Thank you. I just wanted to be sure before I move ahead and do that. I do think it's really interesting to take a look at the rooms and their usage, and it just shows you how many different people are coming in. The person from the Department of Defense was here meeting with an Old Bridge resident who is a young woman who is going into the Air Force, and they were going over her materials. So it just gives you a little snapshot of what's going on here. And that goes to the part of my report where I mentioned that I was going to meet with someone from Library Creative Concepts to start taking a look at renovation. And I wanted to just get a feeling from the board. It would be conservative. So we started talking about furniture and all the furniture that needs to be updated. And I asked staff to please give me a list, and they basically all came back saying everything. And that's not entirely true, but you know, there's some really great furniture that we have with the soft seating that has USB ports in it and plugs in it. Those are still really functional and they've held up really, really well. Some things like our information services desk could use a facelift. So knowing that this company just did the library in Milburn, a good friend of mine is the director there, and he's very precise in getting the most out of any renovations. But it's not like a massive renovation with construction, but I did at least want to take a look at a possibility to create a proposal for the board with what we might do. And part of what they were talking about was creating more of those small meeting spaces, or doing something like study carols. We don't have any study carols right now. Do you remember those from college? You would go sit in, there was like a wall going around 3 sides, so you had some privacy while you were working. We don't have any here right now. So rather than go and look at piecemeal furniture that's not gonna come together, unify the building, I'd rather put a report together for everyone to see what our possibilities are, if that's an acceptable use of my time for the board.
Can we do like a walkthrough with you? Like, so you can show us what you're thinking?
That sounds great.
I know
Well,
I've
I
been
would-
wanting to do that anyway.
I would say give us a report first and see what you're thinking before we start doing walkthroughs and go, to that level yet, but,
Yeah.
I'm just thinking, as you're saying, whenever you do kind of a remodel, a lot of the furniture, a lot of obviously the computers, that type of stuff, it all gets outdated, right? And then there's new, more modern stuff, new technology, as you were saying, with USB ports, whether it be on the seat or somewhere, that's always changing as far as making it more accessible to people and more convenient and so on. So let's see what we have, and then, we'll take a look at the report, and then if, we feel that we want to move forward, we can do a walkthrough. So,
And it is interesting that in this company, one of their employees is from Old Bridge. And she had said, I get to do all these great projects for other libraries. I'd like to do it for my own. Whether that was a selling point, I don't know. I take it with a grain of salt, but they did say that they prepared a proposal for Old Bridge about 5 or 6 years ago. So that's how far past a renovation.
But it was never used. you
Right,
said.
it was never
Nothing was
used.
done with
Yeah.
it.
So that's where we are with that. And the other recommendations and things that I have will wait.
And just to let you know, going back to the room usage, I think that there's somewhat of a precedent already set for that. As in, I'm not sure if you're aware, because you just started around February, or no, May, rather. The library is an early voting center.
Yes.
So we've been using that large room for early voting the last couple of elections. I guess it's almost 2020 election.
Yeah, and there was a report that came out from a foundation in Rhode Island, and they said that civic engagement was one of the most important things that public libraries could take part in this day and age. And I'm a huge proponent of that, having everyone engaged and active in all of those things. So, we'll talk more in the future about those, about the meeting spaces.
Dawn, would you
Sorry.
be able to get us a copy of, if we can't find it in our internal records, of the quote that was sent to us by this firm 5 or 6 years ago? Because I don't recall us getting one at the time.
I'll ask him. The gentleman who was here, he said that they were here, and he'll be able to give me more information on that.
Okay, I look forward to it.
I kind of do remember something, Frank, about new chairs and stuff. Was that under Nancy? Did we do like new chairs and things of that nature?
I think so, Kevin. I remember that.
You do
Nancy was
remember as
talking
well?
about it. Yeah. I remember she was talking about it, but I don't know if we updated anything in the library around that time.
And it wasn't really expansive. I'm just thinking it was like new chairs and maybe some new desks or something.
Well,
Yeah.
I think
It was
because,
the chair. It was the chairs, Kevin, that Dawn was just talking about. The ones that have the USB plugs.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
so
and
obviously something was done then, but we don't know by whom. So it may not have been done by the firm you're talking about, Dawn. But it would be nice to have them give us something so we know what they sent us if we
Yeah.
can't find it.
That's a good idea. If you could
Yeah.
share that with the board, if you get it.
absolutely. And the carpet was done fairly recently,
Yeah.
and it's held up well. And he complimented, the guy who was here complimented the carpet. So that's not an issue. But every library in the world has gone to these carpet tiles, but then doesn't replace them. And so with our new custodian, one of my first things to conquer is going to be the replacement of carpet tiles, because it'll make a huge difference.
Well, we had a year of basically no foot traffic, so that helped too with the
Not-
carpet.
I don't know what they've done in that
So-
children's program room, but back there, it's,
Okay.
Yeah, well, they're busy. in there.
yeah.
They have a lot of story times and stuff.
So we'll get to work on it, and that's all I have for now.
Okay. Anybody have any discussion on director's report? Okay, thank you. So we'll move on to committee reports. Rocco's not here for buildings and grounds, but I don't know if there's an update on, you're aware of? No?
No.
Okay. And finance, Maria?
I'll be reaching out to the committee tomorrow by email about a meeting date.
And that's to go through the budget.
Yes,
So-
yes.
So we can anticipate moving the budget next month, I would imagine?
Definitely, most
Okay.
definitely, Kevin.
Thank you. Okay, outreach marketing, Frank, anything?
Yeah, I think one of the things that I've been looking at the state laws and the way the setup is between municipal libraries and the state and the governing body, the township in our case. And I know Dawn has already talked about trying to move more money into capital, and we already have a fixed amount of roughly, I think, Maria, the number's over $300,000 that's dedicated to improving South Old Bridge.
I thought it was over 200. I'm going by what's in the CD, Frank.
Yeah. All right, well, whatever that dollar amount is, that's already in place. And obviously, we really have to find out what our position in this is with regard to, is this a building that the township is going to own, as they do with this library? And are they going to be the decision makers on whether we go forward or not? Or based on what the law is and based on how much capital we have, can we be more of a driving force in it? Because that's what I think we need to do, to find out exactly what we're capable of doing on our own. We've already given $1.5 million to the project in Lawrence Harbor, and we do have a significant surplus. We can, under state laws, I understand, that have a 20% excess in our operating budget. And anything beyond that amount, now that's a significant amount because that's close to 600,000. That's in operations alone. So we have to find out what the actual rules are from the state about moving it into capital, and if we're going to go forward. Because what's supposed to happen when you get past that $600,000 point in operations, unless you've got something that's approved and on the boards, at least that it's, I believe is the case, we just can't arbitrarily keep moving stuff into capital if we don't have a capital project that shows the need for it. So
It's not a project, it's a plan. And I put a draft of a plan into the finance committee's folder so that we can discuss that during our meeting. And that plan can include things like starting to put money away for replacing the roof 10 years from now. So all of those things can get moved into there.
well, I'd like to see that, and I'd like to discuss it in detail. And I would also like Chris, on behalf of the library, to review the laws that are pertinent to all of those issues so that we have a clear and clearly understandable what our ability is to do these things, particularly if the township is not going to be supportive of it. Can we buy our own building? Can we pay for the building and donate it to the town? Because I think we need to do all that as we continue to grow, not as quickly as people would have you believe. Most of the growth is taking in the southern part of the town, southern and western part of the town, wards 5 and 6. So I think now that we're beyond Lawrence Harbor, we have a plan and it's under construction. I think we need to focus on that.
If it's helpful, this is part of the survey that I just did with all of the directors. So the state says that a town can allow a library to use a facility, but they can't charge rent to that library for using that facility. And
we are aware of that.
Right, and I was continuing with that. You can also purchase your own building. So you can have your own building in addition to that. And what you do there is what you decide, but also this is where the agreement for usage came up, because I will tell you that only one out of all of the LMXAC libraries has a formal usage agreement. All of them function with doing capital improvements and those kind of things with the building that the town's allowing them to use without a formal usage agreement, if that's helpful.
Well, for South Old Bridge, it's a property that the township owns, right? And then we'd be potentially building on there. So that's allowed, you're saying?
Mhm.
Okay.
And the questions that have to be decided beforehand, right, are then who owns the building? If you have,
It's not
If it's
building on
on
their
township
property.
property. And so if you
and should they pay for some of it, I assume, is part of it also, right?
And this is where, like I said, that capital plan, really, it gives you all of the freedom, and I'm only saying this for other libraries that I've been in before. It gives you a tremendous amount of freedom to have the money for those things and do those things by having it simply in the capital plan. All the state law specifies is having that plan, and we can make it whatever we want. I put in something about the locks, updating all of the locks on the library, and I'm getting feedback from the police department and from the technology office to get a price for the board so that we can consider it. It's capital improvement, and it can be a substantial one. So I'm hopeful that I'll have, in addition to Chris's expertise, something to add in the finance committee meeting.
Frank, anything else?
Not
Yeah,
for
I want
me.
to ask a question. Dawn, has the books been ordered yet? Last year's, 2022?
Has
Has the auditor been in?
the auditor been in for fiscal year 2022?
Yes.
I believe, Linda?
No.
There was no audit done for 2022?
Well, I would like, can you please follow up?
Yes, absolutely. I will do that.
Thank you.
Okay, so we'll move on to personnel negotiations. Dr. George, anything?
Not yet. Chris is working on some, he had some kind of contact, but we will get busy.
Yeah,
So-
we're gonna start that process after your September meeting. I've been in touch with Debbie Parks to get proposals going. They're going to provide them to us before the September meeting so that we can have a personnel negotiations committee meeting, talk to the administration. I've sent draft proposals. We'll get everything going with the goal of having a new contract in place before the old one turns into a pump.
Great, thank you.
We'll get back to you on a calendar because I'm not gonna promise anything before the September meeting.
Yeah.
If I can't be sure that I could deliver on it. These are
Okay.
busy times for everybody, so. But we'll get it done. It's not a massive job. It's not a big group of people. And in the past, we've never had any difficulty in negotiations, so.
Okay.
We'll get it done.
Thank you. Policy, Rocco's not here, but was there anything going on with policy? I think there was one policy update, wasn't there?
Yeah, in July, I sent you the update that was, Rocco was gonna take a look at that as the policy committee. And what was that on? It wasn't meeting rooms, it was,
Is it in the director's report?
I don't think so. I wasn't,
Okay,
so when, just to touch on policy, so, and I haven't had a chance to meet with Rocco or talk to him. As I go through all of our policies and the policies that we used to have and the policies that could use a bit of an update, so that would all just go to Rocco. Is anyone else on that committee?
there is someone else on the committee.
Mine?
Yeah,
Okay.
it might be you, I'm not
Rocco's the
sure.
chair.
I can check. Linda, you
Okay.
probably have the list of committees,
I
right?
have it.
Yeah, so you can
I think it's.
check with her as well. If not, reach out to me, I have it at home.
All right, and so if it's acceptable to the board, what I normally do is set up a schedule of all the policies and when they get reviewed, so that they're getting reviewed even before there's a need. So hopefully, at least every other year, we're getting through every policy to make sure that there's some updates. Like there's, was there a change for the unattended children? Is that the one that you're referring to?
No, I don't
that
believe
was a
so.
couple months ago.
Yeah.
Someone just
Up
sent
on
me
that
that
list.
because there's a conflict in the policy. But we'll get to them.
Okay. Thank you. All right, and technology, Frank, anything?
Not at this time.
Okay. So anything else from any members of the board, topic wise? Nothing? Okay, so then I will open up to public comments. Do we have anyone from the public that would like to speak? No? Anyone online? If you want to just take yourself off mute, you have anything?
There wasn't that.
There were a couple of
There's-
people.
there's-
There's
We
still
lost a few
one.
people.
Mr. Patel was left.
Yeah,
He usually talks.
all right. So if nothing from the public, we thank you for your attendance tonight. I will ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I'll
There we go.
second.
Second, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks,
Have a good
everyone.
night.
Thank you.
Thank you.